For as long as we've tried to understand ourselves, there's been this one massive, defining question. It's a debate that seems to pit our very biology against our life experiences. But what if we've been asking the wrong question this whole time?
Right? It's the classic showdown. Are we who we are because of our DNA, our nature, or is it all about our environment, our upbringing, our nurture? We've always imagined it as this epic battle for control over who we become.
But hang on, what if that whole versus idea is just completely off? What if nature and nurture aren't fighters in a ring, but actually partners in a really complex dance? Well, a groundbreaking study suggests exactly that. And honestly, it's going to make you rethink everything you thought you knew about this debate. So, to really get our heads around this new way of thinking, we need to talk about a pretty amazing tool that lets scientists see what's going on behind the scenes. It's called a polygenic score. Okay, so what is a polygenic score, or PGS? Well, try to think of it as a single number, like a rating, that sums up the effects of thousands, sometimes even millions, of tiny little variations in your DNA for a specific trait. For the research we're diving into, it's all about the PGS for educational attainment. So it's basically a score for someone's genetic potential when it comes to education. Let's make this real and see how it works in a family. So first, you've got the mother. Based on thousands of different points in her DNA, she gets her own specific polygenic score. And then, of course, you have the father. He's got his own unique DNA, so he gets his own distinct score, too. It could be higher, lower, or, about the same as the mother's. But here is where it gets really fascinating. A kid isn't just a 50-50 blend of their parents. Their DNA is a random shuffle of the genetic deck from each parent. And what that means is a child's score can end up being totally different. In this example, it's actually lower than both of their parents. This genetic lottery, well, that's the key that unlocks this entire puzzle. So with that scorecard idea in mind, this study found something incredible. Our genes influence our skills in 3 totally distinct interactive ways. It's not just about the genes you're born with, it's about how those genes actually connect and interact with the world around you. Let's break these 3 down. First up, the direct effect. This is the one we all kind of know, what we think of as pure nature. A child's own genes directly affect their ability to learn stuff. Easy enough. Second, there's the nurture of nature. This is all about how parents react to what they see in their kids. So a child who seems to pick up reading really easily, they might get more books. And third, and this one is a real game changer, is the nature of nurture. This is where the parents' own genes shape the environment they build for their child in the first place. Okay, let's just pause here for a second because this distinction is everything. Nature of nature is reactive. It's the environment responding to the child's genetics. But nature of nurture is proactive. It's the parent's genetics shaping the environment from the get-go. Getting the difference between these two, well, it changes the entire conversation. Now, this whole dance between genes and environment, it's not a one-time thing. The study found that the influence of a child's genes actually gets bigger and bigger over time. It creates this kind of snowball effect. Just look at this timeline. Between birth and age 2, a child's genes explain a tiny 1.4% of the skill differences we see between kids. But fast forward to age 7, and bam, that number has jumped all the way to 7.7%. That's more than a 5-fold increase. And why? It's because those feedback loops we just talked about, the nurture of nature and the nature of nurture, are constantly working, amplifying tiny genetic differences into bigger and bigger gaps over time. All right, so you might be thinking, well, if genetic advantages just keep building, are we just locked into our DNA? Is it all predetermined? No, not at all. And this is where the research delivers its most powerful and honestly surprising takeaway. So the researchers ran this brilliant thought experiment. They asked, okay, what if we could break those feedback loops? What would happen to the influence of genes if we could create a world where every single child, no matter their family or their genes, got the exact same high level of support and investment? The results from this simulation are, frankly, staggering. Just look at this table. In their equal investments world, where nurture is leveled out for everyone, the influence of a child's own genes on their skills plummets by an incredible 45%. And the influence of the parents' genes is nearly cut in half. This reveals this wild paradox. You'd think that if you made the environment equal for everyone, the only differences left would have to be genetic, right? But what this research shows is the exact opposite is true. Making nurture more equal actually reduces the power of nature. because it stops those little genetic advantages from snowballing into huge skill gaps.
And don't just take my word for it. The authors themselves put it so powerfully right here. Skill disparities due to genetic differences may be mitigated via social policy. The environment isn't just a passive stage for our genes to play on, it's an active, powerful lever that can completely reshape their impact.
So, the old battle, nature versus nurture, it's over. The real story is so much more interesting. It's about their intricate dance. And that leaves us with one final profound question. If the world we build can either magnify or shrink the effects of the genetic lottery, what kind of world are we going to choose to build?